Welcome to the Not For Nothing podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Natasha.
And I'm your other co-host, Sarah. And today we are joined with a very special guest. We'd like to welcome Mary Jane Gibson.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to have you.
Yeah,
We've been talking about it forever.
Extremely excited.
Very excited.
So for those who aren't weed nerds like us, who for us, you're a celebrity.
Definitely.
Walk us through a little bit who you are, what you do.
I am a writer and podcaster and sometime performer and maker of silly videos and things in general. I like doing stuff, making stuff, hanging out,
Incredible.
In whatever way I can do it.
Love it. Yeah, we've been definitely I've been reading your work for a long time now,
yes.
Since the beginning of my cannabis career. And
wow.
Natasha, I know she's had some fun experiences. I think she booked your podcast, Weed and Grub, for an event in New York.
Oh, that was so funny. I was telling Sarah about this.
What?
I was reminiscing about an event that I helped put on what's 2017 now? Many years ago.
Yeah, six.
Do you remember an event 421 for all?
Of course.
So yeah, I was doing this event thing, and we were all right, we're gonna email all these people and hope people come to New York to perform at this event. And you came with Mike, and it was very cool.
That's right. That was we had just started out. I think that might have been our first trip somewhere to do something with Weed and Grub.
That is sick.
Holy smokes! Shout out Christina Bucola.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Awesome.
So yeah,
and Matt Everson, right?
Exactly.
Crazy.
It was nuts. I was just the social media person, just posting away.
Wow.
And it was really fun. It was kind of the beginning of New York
weed media, weed events.
Yeah, we were just trying to do something crazy to make an impact for a greater good.
Yeah, and for there to be some semblance of culture.
Yeah, it was sort of a social justice component to 420 being the day after you party, let's make sure that we direct attention to what's really going on with the legalization movement, right? As far as I remember.
Yeah, exactly. It was
that's so sick.
It was because 420, the industry people are working. Yeah. So the next day, have everybody from the industry have a moment to relax, to chill, but also the proceeds were going to 3 different organizations. And so we had hit different aspects of cannabis, veterans work, moms.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's so funny. I feel the two of you have really tracked the evolution of professional stuff around 420, because when I started writing about weed, so I started working at High Times in 2007.
Wow.
So nothing was really going on in the world of legalization. There was just, California had medical weed, but that was kind of it. So there weren't events or anything like that. So when I moved out here in, I think 2016 was, when I really started realizing that this was sort of corporations were attaching themselves to 420 and all that kind of stuff. It was really such a big eye opener. And now it's so interesting to watch you tracking that on the East Coast as that's happening. It's going weird. Back and forth and seeing what's happening. Because just before we sat down, I was what's going on out there? And you're I'm from New York. I'm riding this wave, but I've lost track of what's happening in that movement out there. And it's so interesting.
And Natasha was there kind of to build it up, but she also has withdrawn a little bit by moving to LA.
Yeah.
So
oh, okay.
No, you've withdrawn from New York City culture.
I'm definitely I'm not at the sesh these days.
You're more likely to be at a weed event in LA.
Yeah.
You're buying your cases of water in bulk and then you're putting them in your car.
I'm driving to the grocery store these days.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's been quite the journey.
Yeah. But it's good to have I feel representation for us as friends on both sides, because we both kind of are privy to what's going on across the country, and it's nice.
And I really saw that with that incredible dinner that you guys pulled together that Jackie Bryant wrote about. That was just that
was a lot of fun.
Heartening to see in the New York frickin' Times with Jackie's byline and you guys working on that. And I didn't know about it when it was happening. So I was I fucking pulled that off fucking quietly because I was in the studio with you, Natasha.
We were literally trying to not post anything about it. We didn't want to because it's all earned media stuff. So you never really want to jinx anything, misrepresent something.
Exactly.
And also we were so overwhelmed. I want to do more dinners with more people so soon.
Me too. And I do a lot of I've been doing a ton of events in New York. And I've been doing them almost like every other month.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And it's crazy because I don't even know, like, I don't even know how it's happening. It's like a blur. The event is over and I'm like, whoa, like I just did that event. Like,
are you doing like all kinds of events, like dinners and corporate functions and everything? Or are you sort of sticking to like hosting and party kind of?
Actually, like some kind of hybrid of that. Like it's more like a little food bar area of like a sesh. Like I love the idea of if it all being a sesh and everybody's there to come hang out and chill. But if you want to buy something food related, you can do that. That's like how I'm hoping to like move forward and do things. Like the last event I did was with Danielle Guercio, and we did it at Rise Radio. So it was fun. So there was like live music there that was being streamed while people were hanging out and smoking, and Grab sponsored it. It was awesome. And we did 4 types of infused French fry.
This was incredible.
You infused the fry or like
sauces.
dips for
the sauces.
Like aiolis?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I made like a creamy basil aioli. I made a which went with a vodka sauce French fry.
Oh.
And I made the sauce, and it has fresh basil on it, and it's just so bomb. With the creamy basil sauce was like the hit of the
And then you
event.
had French toast ones, no?
French toast ones, vanilla whipped cream with
what?
maple butter.
And you're making this as well?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait to come to one of your
I
dinners
can't
or
wait to
events.
cook for you.
I mean, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because for our listeners who don't know, Weed and Grub is all about weed and grub. And you are quite the snack connoisseur and food specialist.
Thank you so much. I mean, I feel like it was we just realized Mike, my co-host, Mike Glazer, who's a comedian, and I had met, and we just loved talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then we were like, let's make a thing happen. So we started, by just figuring out what we loved. And we were like, well, we love smoking weed and we love eating food. And we'd love to just have a platform to not only do those things, but to talk about the people who were actually really good at doing those things.
Yeah,
totally. So let's talk about, weed and food with people in the space. And then it started expanding. We started realizing we really wanted to just talk to people who enjoyed those things about anything. And it became like cornerstones for conversations about literally anything. And then we started having people who didn't necessarily even smoke weed, but they would come on the pod because they were like, I vibe with this. And so it just expanded and expanded and expanded. And, I think when we had Trixie Mattel on our pod, I was like, okay, we're like in a moment, like a cultural moment where people are like, I just dig this sort of like whatever this is, even if I'm not like part of the weed culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a certain type of curation, I would say. And that's like the thing about weed and food is that like they're both very curated. Like if you're gonna have weed, like usually we buy something really expensive and like talk about it the whole time as we're smoking it. Like, what are you catching off of that? Like, and the same thing with food. I think like if you're a flavor chaser, you're a flavor chaser.
Yeah,
but sure. I feel like you've been having a new food adventure, which we are both absolutely obsessed with.
Oh.
Tell us more about your new social media adventures.
I mean, thank you so much for allowing me the space to talk about it. I'm obsessed with it. And it's
us too.
We are absolutely. I come in so many times. You can ask Mark and I'm like, did you see MJ's newest post? Like this sandwich, like this is like, it's incredible.
Like I'm equally interested in what you're making
and what you're saying.
What you're talking about.
Thank you so much. That feels so good to hear, especially because you're both so good at what you do in social media and I am not. It is not my comfort zone. So that truly means a lot. Like I've got little goosebumps. Yeah.
Right now. Oh my God.
It really means a lot that it's resonating.
We really love it.
Yeah. Awesome. I will take all the tips that you have after we wrap because I need maybe some help growing it still. But thank you so much. It's called It's the Mayo for me. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. I'm making sandwiches and I'm talking about sexism and misogyny. And that's kind of it. But it started because I had written a piece for High Times. They have like a op-ed column called Weirdos where you've seen, it's like, have you written one yet?
I have not, but your article was, it changed stuff and it shook shit up.
Thank you. I was just trying to say, like, the promise of the cannabis industry was that it was going to be a fair and equitable one and that we were going to do justice to start with, like social justice, criminal reform components at the jump, and then also letting marginalized people and women have a seat at the table. And look what we're dealing with. It's the same thing as always. Like, the people are talking to the people with money and those always are wealthy white men. So like, let's stop it while we can. And like, let's do something about this. We have the opportunity. Sexism and misogyny are like on the rise right now, which is
more
crazy.
than ever. Yeah.
It's just freaking wild. And so that was my piece. And I was like trying to be, crack some jokes about it, but trying to say something serious. And High Times posted it on Instagram, and the bros came out in the comments and they were like, sexism is a myth. Shut up, you dumb, what? And then the thing that kept popping up was make me a sandwich. Shut up and make me a sandwich. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And of course, with a little bit of light Googling, it's like a crazy meme that's just, designed by the alt-right to tell women to shut up and, get in the kitchen
know
and
their
know their
place. Yeah.
And so I was like, holy smokes, that's crazy. So I started interacting with these dudes and saying, I'm so sorry, I didn't know sandwich impotence was a thing and that you couldn't make your own sandwich, bro. And they were so mad. And that conversation just started me thinking about how I wanted to make a bigger piece about it. And so I went to theater school. I'm a theater nerd. That was my life for a very long time. Yeah, and so like you always go back to like that's your default setting. You're like, I'm going to make a piece.
Yeah, totally.
And that's where that started. I was like, I'm going to make a one-woman show. And it's going to be like maybe inspired by Allison Leiby's show about abortion. She made a great, I think it's called The Abortion Play. And I was like, I'm going to make a play about sexism and I'm going to make sandwiches for the audience. And then I went on a hike with my friend Lauren. And we took some mushrooms and we were on this walk and she was like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I miss being creative and I have this idea for a performance piece. And she was like, bro, that is a TikTok.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about making a one-woman show?
Yeah, that's so true. Because then it's like it's all a one-woman show now.
Yeah, but then TikTok is an incredible way to then expand and then like get invited to other places to perform the one-woman show. Yeah. Like it's maybe TikTok has really changed the game for podcast and comedy.
I agree.
Like the discoverability that Instagram like first gave disappeared and TikTok really took that over. Even our podcast wouldn't be here today. Absolutely. If we didn't randomly have a rant about misogyny and cannabis and about how we were tired of these boys in weed messing our lives up. And it went viral on TikTok. And we're like, fuck it, let's do a podcast.
Fuck it, let's, And it's so fucking good. And you're so funny. And people love your clips. Like they're hungry for funny, smart women saying shit that resonates. Like, it's a great time.
People are being very silent in weed because I think they got worried and scared and broke. And
they should.
It's time to like speak more.
Yeah.
It is.
You mean the people who got worried and scared who were quiet were the ones who were being loud about being jerks? Or
no, just like I feel like women got a little quiet.
Oh, sorry, because I was just like, good, they should shut up.
Oh yeah. No, they should also shut up. But I don't mean. But I feel like a lot of like even I feel like haven't been as active as I used to be when I first started in this space. Right. And you get into situations where you work with certain companies, or you work with certain people,
and you're like, somebody off, or
you get tired too, just the fatigue of it.
It's exhausting. You're tired of also being like that person in the room.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and I also have like I'm my main income is as a cannabis journalist, and so I do have to maintain some sort of like. I need to separate myself, obviously, from my very strong opinions when I'm writing about, an investigative piece in the cannabis world. I can't have strong opinions, obviously, because it's not about what I think or feel. That's about like just reported facts. But in my private life, I was like, I really want to start this conversation with all of the things that we all face just walking around on this planet. Not just solely related to corporate culture or weed culture or even bro culture, but like let's just have a conversation about like our periods or our bodies, or because like the sandwich that I was making today is about the bill in Florida that's going to prevent elementary school girls from being able to talk about menstruation. Like it's just a wild freaking time. And so the sandwiches of like some of them have really taken off. There's one that I just made that it's the first one that kind of like blew up, and it's got, I think, 400K on TikTok right now, which is by far the biggest.
That's massive.
Definitely.
And I'm excited about that because I was like, okay, I was trying to sort of look at what it was about it. And I think it's just like, it's a good sandwich. Mm-hmm. It looks delicious. Like people were like, what's the recipe with it? And I was like, okay, so it's got to be a good sandwich. It's got to be like a message that really resonates across it can't be too focused on anything. Like I think it's just interesting trying to check boxes and learn a new language because I don't speak this social media language in the same way as you both do.
But it's a game. It is a game. And I'll teach you everything I know. My biggest joy literally is like teaching other women how to use the tools I spend all these hours on Reddit like learning.
And they're like free tools for now too.
Yeah.
So it's like accessible for anyone, you know?
But speaking of good sandwiches versus bad sandwiches.
Okay.
What are your ultimate sandwich pet peeves? Both of you.
Okay. I love a wet sandwich. So my ultimate sandwich pet peeve would be a dry ass, low condiment situation and or a wrap. I do not like a wrap.
Even for breakfast?
I don't even know why they were really invented. Oh, like a breakfast wrap that's
like a
been
breakfast
maybe
burrito?
griddled a little bit, or a breakfast. I love burritos.
Yeah, where do you draw the line between a wrap and a burrito?
A raw wrap.
I'm like the chicken Caesar wrap.
You don't love the chicken Caesar wrap?
A spinach wrap at,
I'm with you.
Hale and Hearty.
I feel you.
I'm with you fully. I'll eat a breakfast burrito, but I'm not using tortillas otherwise, unless for tacos or burritos.
Yeah, don't love a wrap.
I'm not into wraps.
No.
Don't like wraps, and I just don't like a dry sandwich. And I definitely have, like, when I'm making the sandwiches, because I'm trying to make sandwiches and talk at the same time. I'm not very good at it. Sometimes I get the condiments a little hard. Out of whack. There have been some people who were like, girl, that's so much mayonnaise. I'm like, wow.
You're like, well, I didn't want to pause it. So.
Yeah, I just was going with mayonnaise and saying something about abortion, and
But that stuff will go viral. If it explodes everywhere, I'm sure that would just...
That is a hack. People intentionally do things
it's
wrong to get corrected.
Exactly.
For the algorithm.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. So yeah, what about you guys? What's your...
But you're okay with a soggy bread if the sandwich is
Oh, yeah, I guess.
What's your condiment? Like, where do you draw the line at too much condiment?
I mean, who's like... The soggy bread situation only happens if the sandwich sits around. So that would like really only be like a pret-a-porter, made in the morning and then sitting on the shelf kind of sandwich situation. If I'm making sandwiches, I can goop it up in condiments and then eat it right away, and it's not going to sog the bread.
Very true.
So
that's a good point.
I wouldn't buy a wet sandwich at like a deli necessarily, but I would hope that I'm going into a deli and getting it like
fresh
to order.
Yeah.
Would be my sandwich.
So if you're choosing if you have the option between a seeded roll and an unseeded roll, what are you choosing?
Seeded.
Always.
Right?
Agree.
It's free. Just take the extra stuff.
Yeah, get the seeds.
And it's just like that extra
little.
Got to.
Literally free.
Yeah. You got to check your teeth after. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Poppy seeds are becoming hard as like an adult with increasingly more fucked up teeth.
Yeah. They get in there.
Yeah. Poppy seeds are hard. Sesame seeds I can still rock with a little bit.
Yeah. Do you carry toothpicks?
I don't, but maybe that's an older adjustment.
Okay. Remember how we all used to see like people with toothpicks? Yeah. I'm now that person.
Yeah, but you want to know what the real New York floss hack is?
What?
A MetroCard?
The MetroCard!
MetroCard has so many uses,
but it's like the perfect
Well, I use it to take nails off.
The MetroCard is truly just I don't know what material it's made of.
You know what's so sick? They're phasing out the MetroCard. I don't know if it's fully happened, but we're using this the OMNY. The OMNY. You tap to pay with Apple Pay now. Which is so fucked up. Like,
as you
I don't
can
have
imagine.
to explain that. Not everybody should have an iPhone. Not everyone has a bank account. Not everybody wants to be tracked. All very bad. But
my mom
convenient sometimes, but not for all, which is what makes it.
What if you don't have battery?
What if your phone dies?
What if you don't have service?
Yeah, like so many.
What
things.
if you work in cannabis and no longer have access to traditional banking and so do not have like Apple Pay?
What if you're experiencing homelessness and don't have a fucking iPhone?
What if you are undocumented?
Yeah,
all wonderful
what
questions.
If you were squirreling money away from under your mattress to get away from your abusive partner, and that's all you fucking have to run, and you can't? Yeah.
There's so many reasons.
There's literally so many reasons for them to give you a second option. Yeah. But
bring back the tokens.
Bring back tokens.
Yeah.
Bring back token jewelry. I feel like if
that
I'm
was
wearing
so funny.
it.
My sister used to make necklaces with the tokens. With some string.
I have on my Christmas tree, my family each one year got a Christmas thing made from MetroCards because I didn't have any money that year, and I made them these like origami balls for our Christmas tree.
Because they're great for origami too. I don't know what they're made out of. This like hybrid plastic, cardboard, whatever.
I wanted as I knew this phase out was happening, I was thinking I wonder if I can Google what material it is so I could stock up on a lot of it or buy a lot on
just a big sheet of it
on Amazon or something, like somebody's old MetroCards. They're just whatever, I'll sell it in bulk because I need them for my nails.
Yeah.
Like, I really need them.
But also, like, yeah, you can make cool art. Like, do you remember all the, like, people who would make the wallets?
I do remember
like, the crisscross wallet?
The woven ones.
Woven MetroCard art was truly...
Is that like up there with like the duct tape wallet? Is
yeah, exactly.
Same vibe.
It was the same era.
Same type of recycling granola.
Yes. And the seatbelt backpack.
Oh
it's
my
so
God.
Juno. So Juno.
Wow, I truly miss the early 2000s.
Oh, me
It was
too.
a
I do
different
too.
time.
That was a good time.
That was a good time. Yeah.
Bring back Tumblr.
But it does bring up an interesting topic, which is that in that era of the early 2000s, and when we started in cannabis as well in the mid 2000s, editorial was like kind of in like a heyday online.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah, that was the time. I mean, I was working, so I'd moved to New York. I was working, you know, a million different jobs to support my acting habit. I was doing like weird downtown theater, and I was bartending and cater waitering and stuff. And I met the managing editor of High Times at a party, and we became just great friends and ran around and hung out a bunch. And then one day she was like out of proofreader. And she was like, do you proofread? And I was like, I kind of do. And I'm happy to like take a real quick class to just brush up on my skills. And that's how I started. And then I started copy editing. And then I got my first writing assignment. It was $100 for 100-word review of a book. It was the memoir by the lead singer of fucking Fugazi or something.
Oh my God.
And I got
hot.
I know. And I fucking got
That's hot.
It was fucking hot. Al Jorgensen,
Wow.
I think was his name. Is that his name? I'm totally saying the wrong name. That's not his name. I don't remember. Anyway, I got paid $100 for 100 words.
that's
still,
awesome.
Still an unheard of rate.
That's an incredible rate.
And it was in print.
100 words is
And
like
in
3
print.
sentences.
Yeah. It was, and I still remember I was so proud. I worked super hard on it because actually
That's
writing
awesome.
a good 100 words
It's
for a
very
good book
hard.
review is like a cool thing to have.
And breaking it down into
But
like,
like,
yeah.
being limited to 100
Exactly.
it's like an Instagram caption almost.
totally.
Yep. And it takes like a lot. I remember like they had amazing writers because at
Yeah.
that time, so it would have been, 2007, High Times had some of the fucking best writers in the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
like
was-
really huge contributors over the years. They've had all the sort of like big names, they had Hunter S. Thompson and, Norman Mailer and all these, luminaries, not a whole lot of women, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but they were doing, some really interesting stuff with editorial. And so it felt really cool. And then I worked my way up to an editorial position in 2014 and like magazines were doing well.
Yeah.
It was an exciting time. And then right when I came in, because they didn't really know what to do with me, I was kind of randomly given a job because I'd just been like around and they were like, do you want like a full-time job?
And you were like knocking those assignments out. Like you were like, they're like, okay, step 1. And you're like excelling at it. Step 2, excelling at it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I feel like showing up and doing a good job, even in
That's what we were
various
talking about in
roles.
our last episode was in cannabis. The way you get opportunities is honestly just showing up and being down to clown.
Yeah.
Like if you're game,
yeah.
If you're putting in your best effort,
it's gonna happen because there's not like a job like placement agency. Well, there is now, but like there wasn't before, like a Google search for jobs in cannabis.
Yeah. It's very self-startery.
Yeah, it totally was. And it was so much about like showing up just at parties and being willing to like even help clean up afterwards.
Yeah.
Down
Oh
to
my
like
God.
fucking working events and like starting to go to the cannabis cups and just literally like folding t-shirts, whatever it was. I did all of the things and I kept showing up. And then they were like, would you like a full-time editorial position? And it was just so crazy to me that that was my sort of like way into working, being on the masthead of a print magazine.
Absolutely.
With the background that I had, which was going to theater school, which I was also very proud of, but I was like, I never forecast that landing. And it was also like, I think showing, because I was never like really great with weed specifically. Like I didn't ever have the palate or the knowledge, but I was so fascinated by people who did. And I was willing to like help them tell their stories. And I think that was also a big part of it, was like showing up for all of the editorial staff who were already so good at what they did and being like, I can also help you tell these stories in a better way. Like, so I started working on digital and video, and that was like the time when the kind of digital arm of High Times like bumped into making like YouTube content, and that's what I started working on as well as the lifestyle editor.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was cool. We started having like celebs come into the office and do like, I got to interview Killer Mike one day because he just showed up at the office and they were like, can you sit down with him on camera? And I was like, there's nothing I would like more than to sit down with Killer Mike and chat with him about anything. And yeah, so that was really, it was a big learning opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like our teen formative stoner years were really dominated by like the peak of High Times popularity.
Yeah, and like other media too. We were talking
Mary
about
Jane was hot at that time.
Very true.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like who else?
That's why like
Mary Jane the Snoop.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I remember when that launched. Like and High Times was like, "Oh, is this going to dethrone the?" Looked. Everyone was worried for a minute.
It was promising at the time.
It looked great.
There was Dope magazine still before it got merged or acquired.
And Vice was like king in New York.
And Vice was, I
mean, the Vice drug coverage was so good.
I was a teen in those years. Well, we were teens in those years in New York. Like Vice was cool. Like you
2015,
you would know like Vice writers, and you would go to Vice parties, and you would take photos.
Like everyone I went to
weed.
College with, like was getting their first jobs in media.
Everybody was working at Vice, and everybody was getting absolutely abused, and it was horrible. And the
parties were legendary. And
and we were also talking about the shift in culture too, where it was like that was the height of like pop-up culture.
Yeah.
And like it was just starting and content creators weren't being paid yet. Like it was before influencers.
They still showed up to shit because it was cool.
And because it could just grow their account and make them popular people.
Pre-influencer.
People won't show up anymore if they're not paid.
Yeah. Respect.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's so crazy. I remember.
I also don't leave my house unless it's for money. Really.
I mean, same. I love how I say people and I'm like the two of us.
Yeah, but like content creators like us.
I feel you on that. I feel
it's hard to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Protect your space. But when I was 18, I was definitely showing up everywhere.
Yeah, leaving the house costs $300 now. And
yeah, that's your rate?
That's how much it costs
to
leave the house. Physically,
to break even on my evening, it needs to be $300 minimum.
$300 really?
No.
Oh, it's so expensive
in New York because you're Ubering everywhere.
Well, like even when you're not, it's like going out like somewhere they have a minimum. Like I don't drink, but like buying weed, like whatever it is that you're doing for the night, you end up spending like $200, $300.
Yeah.
If I Uber home to the city, it's like $50 each.
Yeah, it's become obnoxious.
It's honestly. Really. I don't leave my house.
I know that's why I don't leave my house.
I don't leave my house unless I'm going to your house,
which is in California.
At least $1,000.
So yeah, she's like 300 or 1,000.
Fantastic.
Honestly, I get that. Go big or go home.
Exactly. I'm very much that way.
I'm coming over.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you have more experience than we do at the sesh and in the comedy space,
I don't know about that. I feel like you two have a lot of experience, but
we have no experience.
Okay.
Like zero
at comedy spaces.
Yeah, zero.
Like a little, but not enough to be experts.
Minimal.
What are some top contenders in the worst people at the show category?
Oh, the worst people at the show category in like stand-up comedy, you mean?
Yeah, or in the industry as a whole.
Worst people in cannabis and or worst people at the show?
Mostly just in comedy.
Okay. Definitely. Oh, it's so tough because
they're all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, there are like so many. I mean, it's just like anything. I was just watching, what was I watching the other day? Oh, Bros. Have you seen Bros?
No.
I was watching Bros and there's this whole like boardroom conference and it's like basically a fight between all of the different factions of the gay culture. And it's like, it was just really interesting to sort of showcase like how within a culture, there are a million subcultures. So never a monolith, right?
Yeah.
And that's so the case with weed and comedy. Like there are just a million different types of people in both worlds. I love comedians. I think they're so weird and smart and fucked up and they just see the world in the way that like has helped me through everything hard in my life. Like I love them. And also they want me to like, they make me want to like pour bleach on my face. Like they are also like, so just hard to be around sometimes because they're like, they're tough,
Yeah,
like
they are tough.
They're never off. I was listening to your podcast the other day and you were talking about how like you hate when people get high and then they start working on a song or something.
Oh my God.
Like,
I'm such an asshole. I enjoyed that my friends are creative.
It was really funny though, because I was like, that's one of the things about hanging out with any group of people, right? Like I used to go to the Cannabis Cups and I would always find myself in the circle with Danny Danko to just talking about mad fucking back crosses. And I was 100%, like, oh my God.
Literally same.
Yeah. Like you're just like standing there and you're just talking, you're in the weed nerd circle.
Yeah.
Always. That's where I always ended up.
Yeah.
Because it was always the most fun and interesting, but I was always like, how do I end up here? Why am I not over there talking to those other people? And in comedy, I always find myself talking to like the group of people who are like, they're all just working on stuff all the time. So it's just like bits. And it can be kind of like fun to just like be a fly on the wall because I'm not a comedian. So I can just kind of stand and observe. And that can be really enjoyable. But also sometimes it's like anxiety inducing because everyone's trying to like
they're playing like a social game too. Like they're like, this is networking. Like I'm working and you're like not working. You're just there.
Yeah. For them, and jokes are like a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Their jokes are a job. And that's exactly the way to put it because I've definitely been in those circles with Mike who does jokes for a job. And he is like thriving in that environment. And I can feel myself starting to like feel faint. I need to sit down because I'm like, this is not my job. So I guess like, I don't know if that answers about like who the worst is.
It's the comedians who treat the hangout like a pitch meeting.
Exactly.
It can be sort of like, because then some of the very funniest people I know who have the crossover of like weed and comedy, like Mike or Gabrus is another one. Do you guys know John Gabrus? He's just like awesome. He's got a podcast called High and Mighty. Everyone should check it out if you don't listen to it.
Yeah, we'll link to it. Yeah.
He's great. And he is comedian first, loves weed, right? And he is, I think, the energy that I'm always looking for, which is what you're cultivating here, which is it's you can kind of like just hold the space and hang out.
Yes.
And nobody needs to top anything. Mm-hmm. And more often than not, it's funny when you come in under something.
Yes.
And that is very relaxing to me. And
I agree.
I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, it's not like this is like I don't think podcasting is meant to be a one-man show or like a monologue either. Like I kind of get a little bit bored with like
if people are being too performative.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've switched actually in the beginning when we were making clips, we were kind of like, oh, like we should talk about things beforehand and then script it. And now we're saying like we need to just talk about a topic and not speak about it until we're on camera. So it's a genuine surprise. Like, and then there's no need to top. It's like we come prepared with like our thoughts on the matter.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's when you're in the pocket is when you're hearing things in the moment and you can riff on them in the moment. And like that's like what I think everyone is always looking for in life, in weed, in comedy, in music, whatever. It's like being perfectly, it's what's that? I know there's the hygge, isn't that the Swedish word for like perfectly content in the moment?
I never heard of this.
Like it's like perfect aesthetics, perfect like symbiosis,
everything's
like everything is just wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. Or I know there's a word in Dutch, gezellig. I feel like you would know these things because you speak French.
Yeah. We can look it up. I don't think I know this one, but I do agree.
But it's finding that perfect is what I've always been in.
Yeah, we're just all in search of friends to riff off of.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know those terms because I'm white trash.
We talked about this. You're Italian.
She's like, you're not white trash. You're Italian.
I will die on that hill.
Fantastic.
But this has been absolutely incredible. And we're so excited that we can all record our podcast in the same home here at Petty Cash.
Proud Petty Cash pedestrians.
And it feels cool to like have podcasts like family.
Yeah.
Because it's like we get to then like eavesdrop on your stuff later.
Yeah.
And, and like Liz is always here and we're doing content together. It's fun to not be alone just in this journey talking to each other.
It is.
Exactly. Really and we need, like you said, we're happy to always help with social media stuff and
thank you.
Yeah, whenever.
I hope, people will check it out and help me learn and grow. Because, I feel like with that last one, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I got to
continue doing this.
Let's see what we can do next.
Cool. Are there any upcoming projects that you want to plug before we say goodbye to everyone?
Always Weed and Grub comes out every Wednesday. We've got some fun apps planned. We just did a 420 Blitz and had such a good time. So that's at Weed and Grub everywhere. And I'm graduating from the University of Vermont Cannabis Media Fellowship Program, and I'm working on a final presentation that I'm super excited to share with everyone when it drops. So
we can't wait to see it.
I'll update you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So excited to see that.
That's such a big deal.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You can watch the next episode of the Not For Nothing podcast on Tuesday, wherever you stream your favorites. I'm Sarah. You can follow me at How Can I Help You? Where can they find you?
And I'm Natasha, and you can follow me at Natasha PRZ.
Rate the podcast 5 stars, Not For Nothing pod on all platforms. See you on Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.